a 2 to 3 minutes question and answer session. So the speech entitled Get Savvy by James Burke has the speech Get Savvy. Please welcome James Burke.
Thank you very much, Dan. Well, good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and very welcome. First of all, can I have a quick show of hands? How many of you perhaps spent a little bit too much money over the festive period? There's certainly some of you in the audience. Well, for those of you that didn't, congratulations, you're obviously very financially savvy. But please do still pay attention because you might learn something today. The rest of you, please pay close attention. As we go into 2013, the chances are our bank balances are feeling a little worse for wear. And in the news last week, they said the UK economy is still stagnating and we could be facing a triple-dip recession. So I did some research on the internet and I looked at the websites confused.com and moneysupermarket.com to see if I could find some tips to make you more savvy and help spend your money better in 2013. The key point I need to get across to all of you is you need to shop around. If you've been with your existing provider for 12 months or more, you could well be getting a better deal elsewhere. And I've broken my tips down into 5 areas. And I'll go for those in turn. E, D, C, B, and A. So let's start then. Well, E stands for energy. Energy, I mean gas and electricity. 97% of the UK population buy their gas or electric from the top 6 energy suppliers. And all 6 of them have put their prices up in recent months. So I therefore urge you to go out there, check to see if you're still on the best tariff for you, and go and see if you can get a better deal elsewhere. And that better deal might come from those other smaller companies that you don't normally hear about. Another savvy tip for you is central heating. Turn your thermostat down by 1 degree, you could reduce your heating bill by up to 10%. And energy can also relate to petrol prices. I use a website called petrolprices.com that tells you the cheapest places to fill up in the local area, so I can recommend that to you. So that's E, energy. Next up, D stands for debts. Now with debt, there's 3 important things to consider. Firstly, you need to work out how much debt you have with each of your providers. Secondly, you need to work out what the minimum monthly repayment is on each of your debts. And thirdly, you need to know how much interest you're paying on your debts. Now the interest is known as the APR, or the annual percentage rate. And the higher the APR is, the more interest you will be paying. Common logic says you should aim to pay off the debt that has the highest APR first, paying off as much as you can and only pay minimal payments on your other debts. Then, once you've cleared your first debt, you then move on to the debt that has the next highest APR, and so on and so forth. So that's D, debt. Next up, C, and C stands for credit cards. Typical APR on a credit card might be in the region of 20%. If you've got a store card, that can be even higher, 30% or 40%. If you have any debts on credit cards, then you might want to consider what's called a balance transfer deal. That will allow you to transfer debts from one credit card onto another credit card. Now, why might you want to do that? Well, if the APR you're going to get on your new credit card is lower than your existing APR, then you'll be saving money in your repayments and you might be able to pay the debt off quicker. There's a number of good deals on the market at the moment. you can get credit cards that will give you an APR of 0%, so no interest, for a period of up to 18 to 24 months. And the typical fee for a balance transfer is 3%. So that's roughly equivalent to an interest rate or APR of 2% per annum, which clearly is a lot better than paying 20% or 40%. If you don't have any debts on credit cards, then look at other options on credit cards. So for example, you might be able to get a credit card that has an APR of 0% on purchases rather than balance transfers, or you might look to get a credit card that will give you some form of cash back. Moving on then, we have D, which is for debts. Sorry, not debts. B stands for bank accounts. How much interest are you getting on your savings? In the current environment, probably virtually nil. And inflation is 3% a year. So year on year, your savings, the purchasing power of your savings is being eroded by inflation. Unfortunately, the news for savers is not good. There are hardly any accounts out there that will beat inflation, especially after tax. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't shop around, because you could still be getting much higher than 0%. And finally, A stands for anything else. What other payments do you make, either monthly or annually? Think about it. Your home phone, your mobile phone, your broadband. You might have a gym membership. You might have pay TV like Sky or Virgin. And annual payments, think about insurances, car insurance, home insurance, content insurance, pet insurance, travel insurance. It does pay to shop around. So I urge you all to shop around on these 5 areas: energy, debt, credit cards, bank accounts, and anything else. It might not be the most exciting thing to do in your spare time, but your bank balance will feel all the better for it. According to moneysupermarket.com, if you've never done any of these things before, you could see a saving of up to £2,000 on the amount you're paying in a year. And on that point, I would like to open up the floor to any questions. Doris.
What's the easiest, least time-consuming way to shop around?
Well,
Because I've tried it and it takes forever.
Well, certainly I would say the best way to do it is to use price comparison sites, so like confused.com, comparethemarket.com. You just go in there, you put in all your details, and they will search a lot of providers at once. The one thing you need to bear in mind is with price comparison sites is they don't consider all providers, but they will consider a large number. So you should be able to get a better deal by using those. And they will cover lots of insurances, home, phone, electric, broadband, all the things I mentioned. Yes?
Speaking about energy and about shopping around on the internet, the most vulnerable people are the elderly who wouldn't understand or even have a computer, so they are the losers on all counts.
That is unfortunate. So I think what happens, if the elderly do not have access to the internet, then I would encourage, if you have got elderly relatives or friends and you are more internet savvy, to help them with their savings, because they could equally save quite a lot of money by doing something like this. And they do face the risk, if not, that they're going to be approached by a door-to-door salesman who might try to follow them out the best deal.
I would also like to mention about energy, because it seems to be a hot potato, and the websites do make it seem so easy. Just compare them all. But have you ever tried comparing them when you're not comparing apples with apples? They're all over the place, and those websites, I think, can be misleading. I wonder if you found they could be misleading.
I think they can be misleading. You do need to be careful to know.
Well, they make it look easier than it actually is.
I mean, I have recently transferred energy supplier, and the whole process for doing the transfer took in the region of 4 to 6 weeks, because they have to get all there's a 21-day cooling off period, and then they have to contact the other supplier. You have to provide a reading, or they'll send someone out to give a reading, and they have to agree the reading. So it can take a long time. In terms of whether the websites are misleading, I think it's important to understand the information that's being given is only an estimate, and the estimate is only as good as the information you put in. If you haven't got accurate readings for gas and electric, then usually the estimate will be based on the size of your house. For example, number of bedrooms, number of lounges, etc. So therefore, it can only ever be an estimate, but it should still give you a good indication of the savings that are available. At least relative savings, even if the exact prices aren't right, just the fact that one will give you a lower unit rate than another will probably give you information to look into it further and show you places you might not otherwise consider. Well, I think my time is up for the day, so thank you all for listening and for the helpful contributions from the audience, and I'd like to pass you back to the toastmaster.
Thank you, James. In terms of getting savvy, I think that's one of the reasons we join Toastmasters, isn't it? And get advice like that for free. Goodness me, some people pay a lot for that. Thank you, James. Especially on James's hourly rate.